good morning to the Honorable Ministers of the Council, members of the media, online viewers, radio listeners via St. Martin Gov Radio 107.9 FM and other radio stations. I'm Rolika Roach and welcome to the live Council of Ministers press briefing for today, Wednesday, November 21st, 2018. At this time, I invite the Minister of Education, Culture, Youth and Sport, the Honorable Wycliffe Smith, to address you. Minister Smith.
Thank you very much, Ms. Roach. Greetings to all gathered here this morning, Madam Prime Minister, fellow ministers, the Department of Communications, members of the press, as well as the listening and viewing audiences via radio, television, and social media. Good morning, Sualiga. From the Department of Youth, St. Martin signs Kingdom MOU for International Rights of the Child. Yesterday, in marking International Children's Day, I electronically signed the Memorandum of Understanding for the countries and territories within the Kingdom of the Netherlands, pledging to uphold the International Convention of the Rights of the Child on St. Martin. In doing so, every child on St. Martin has been assured that the government of St. Martin will promote and protect these fundamental moralities. Every person in the community has the duty to protect the rights of our children. Let us ensure that every child is loved, fed, kept safe, cared for, educated, and allowed to speak and play as children should. Some of our children may be too young to advocate for themselves, and this is why, as a village, as a country, we will look out for each child as if he or she were our own. This year, the United Nations has chosen to promote a world where every child is in school, every child is safe from harm and can fulfill his or her potential. With the social media campaign #GoBlue, everyone is encouraged to participate in advocating for the rights of the child. From the Department of Education, UNICEF. Last week, UNICEF, in collaboration with this ministry, hosted a 3-day INEE, Minimum Standards for Education in Emergencies, workshop. In attendance were representatives from the various departments of the Ministry of Education, Culture, Youth and Sport, from SECTA, from the Police Force of St. Martin, the Red Cross St. Martin, school boards, and also school managers. The goal of the training was to build capacity and enable participants to be able to plan, develop, and implement a national level contingency plan for the education sector. This afternoon, I will be meeting with the staff of the St. Martin Vocational Training School. I believe that suggestions and solutions will be identified to tackle some of the issues that they are facing at the school. This meeting is part of an approach to restructure the school as we work towards generally improving education and safety for our children. The School Safety Plan. A school safety stakeholder meeting will be held on Friday, the 23rd of November, 2018, with representatives from an ample range of government, the private sector, and civil society organizations. This will be followed by a meeting next week, Wednesday, November the 28th, with stakeholders from the different school boards. The aim is to develop advanced safety and emergency management in the education sector on St. Martin. A cornerstone for the achievement of this goal is the joint and participatory development of a school safety roadmap to advance school safety in the short, medium, and long term. We continue to push forward with our ministry's plans to ensure a better, safer environment for our children. The Study Financing Priority List 2019. The Priority List for Study Financing Applications 2019 has been approved. The list has a range of study options in both academic and vocational fields and has been approved for the years 2019 through 2021. However, should a change be valuably recommended, an amendment may be issued for the latter years. Special consideration is given to those pursuing primary education at the University of St. Martin, while a study allowance is available for programs offered at the NIPA. The list will be shortly published on the website of the Division Study Financing and on the government page in the newspaper. Additionally, we have established Memoranda of Understanding, or MOUs, with Indian Hills Community College in Iowa and also with Nova Eastern University in Florida for the benefit of recipients of study financing. I encourage students and parents to consider the institutions with which the government of St. Martin has made certain agreements to cater to our young people while they are pursuing their studies. From the Department of Sport, the Brown Pelican Awards. The Brown Pelican Sports Awards was a great success, thanks to the Department of Sport and the National Sport Institute for organizing this event. Thank you also to all the sponsors and the supporting attendees. And congratulations to all the 2018 winners. The best sponsor was NVGEBE. For the best sporting innovations was the KNVB World Coaches. The best sport organization, the St. Martin Soccer Association. Best sporting school, Milton Peters College. Our international ambassador, Burton Theodora. Our sport icon for the year, Mark Madewell. The best overall team for 2018, King Yen Taekwondo School. The best coach, Byron Isabia. The male athlete of the year, Ivan Bell. And the female athlete of the year, bodybuilder, Modien Profas. We were privileged to be able to pay tribute also to the legends of boxing, Jacinth Jas Brian Labega, Winston Village Kid Ramu, Blair Ford, Daniel Chaputin Tuit, and Ivan Fancy Boy Lake. Let us continue to participate and to develop sports on St. Martin, because sports matter. Yesterday, Malcolm Phillips returned home from Florida, where he had his first international boxing match. He won both fights and picked up the belt at the Sugar Burt Amateur Boxing National Tournament. Due to a conflict meeting with the governor at the time of Malcolm's arrival, I was unable to personally welcome him home. However, my cabinet chief of staff, Peter J. Gittins, greeted Malcolm and his supporting team at the Princess Juliana Airport and ensured that he received a warm welcome. Malcolm was escorted from the tarmac through to the arrival hall in true VIP fashion. We're proud of you, Malcolm, and kudos to the coaches. Keep putting St. Martin's flag on the international stage and representing us well. Again, congratulations. From the Department of Culture, a UNESCO meeting. As we speak, right next door, the UNESCO Cluster Office for the Caribbean, in partnership with the St. Martin National Commission for UNESCO, are hosting a sub-regional training workshop for Information for All program, the IFAP, and Memory of the World, the MOW committees. And that's taking place from today, November 21st, and on a number of initiatives to enable access for all through digitization. The IFAP and the MOW programs echo the need for protection of information and making access permanent for all. Participants and presenters from Jamaica, Guyana, Belize, Aruba, Curacao, the Bahamas, Barbados, and Suriname are attending, along with local participants from the Department of Culture, the Department of Education, the Department of Record and Information Management, the Phillipsburg Jubilee Library, the Department of Communications, and other organizations related to the preservation of our documentary heritage. I would like to thank Ms. Macelia Henry, Secretary General for UNESCO on St. Martin, for organizing this training workshop here on St. Martin. Lastly, the Thanksgiving service. As you know, every year, the government and the churches hold a Thanksgiving service on the first Sunday of December, thereby marking the end of the official hurricane season. Last year, St. Martin was hit by the worst hurricane ever to cross the Atlantic. This year, thank God, we have been spared. On Sunday, December 2nd, 2018, will be our National Ecumenical Thanksgiving Service. This service will be held right here at the Government Administration Building from 5 p.m. to 7 p.m., and the general public is invited. I look forward to joining with you as we give thanks to the Almighty that together we have come this far. With that, I conclude my presentation. Thank you for watching and for listening, and I'll be available for any relevant questions that you may have. Have a pleasant day.
Thank you, Minister Smith, for your opening remarks. At this time, I invite the Minister of Public Health, Social Development, and Labor, the Honorable Emma Lee, to address you. Minister Lee?
Good morning, colleagues. Good morning, media in the House, and for those listening by radio, television, or internet. I have a couple topics to touch on briefly. Last week, we had a teleconference with members from the BZK Recovery Program, the Ministries of VROMI, the Ministry of VSA, and with the RIVM. The discussion was about how we could put together an air quality monitoring program. So the RIVM, or the Kingdom Institute for Public Health and Environment, has a department called the Environmental Incident Services. So this is an arm under the Ministry of Public Health, Wellness, and Sports, where whenever they have an environmental incident, this is the entity that would go out and measure what exactly has been the impact. The Netherlands is making their services available to St. Martin so that we can put a proper air monitoring plan in place. So we're in the process of drafting a project plan. But keep in mind, what this will do is different than the tests that were much debated about, the ones that was done by EENG, which is basically the equivalent of taking a test probe and putting it in the tailpipe of a car, measuring the exhaust, and trying to determine the quality of the automobile safety from that. So it gave really a very tight snapshot of what's happening at the dump. This is a different project. This will put monitoring equipment in different distances around the dump to measure what the more likely impacts to public health, to the citizens are. What this will do is it will give a snapshot. It will give a picture for a moment in time as to what the air quality is when the project is executed. And we're trying to look at some sort of a more sustainable measurement plan going forward as well. So we had very good discussions. This was a teleconference in terms of what the scope of the project would be. As I mentioned, that we're starting to work on what the draft project plan would look like, and we're very grateful for the assistance. The second topic I'd like to touch on is the hospital. I'd like to extend a special thanks to Minister Gitterson for helping to expedite the building permit process for the new hospital. I realize that this is a process that normally takes quite a bit of time, but under his leadership, the staff of ROMI, as well as with the assistance of the fire department and the police department, I think have done an excellent job in terms of processing the building permit in a timely manner so that we could go ahead with the projected groundbreaking for the new hospital, which should be in the beginning of December. So his staff is actually, as we speak, furiously stamping documents to hand over to the hospital. So this is actually one of the last conditions that we needed in place to actually break ground and finalize and sign for the construction to start for the new hospital project. Connected to that, actually as part of the World Bank procedures, there is an environmental and social safety management plan. There's a draft plan in place. There is a public consultation round. So that is set for Monday, November 26th from 6 to 7:30 p.m. in the courtyard of the SMMC. So the idea is that they have a draft environmental plan, and this is open for public review. It is actually on the website of the SMMC, which is www.smmc.sx, as of November 22nd, and it's under the World Bank procurement section. So this is part of our compliance obligations with the World Bank support. And so the project plan, the safety plan is there for public review, and in this session it's an opportunity for the public to give comments on it. Keeping in mind that the projected construction time for the new hospital is going to be over 4 years, this is also a great time to start preparations for staff requirements. I mean, we're working on the hard part of the hospital, meaning the physical construction of the hospital, but we're equally focused on the soft parts of the hospital, making sure that we have the staff and that the quality standards are there and that the training is there for the staff to make sure that the quality of the services that we offer in the new hospital are up to speed as well. And there's a couple things that are happening already in that regard. And remember, we're looking at adding 100 new staff to the hospital when the hospital is completed. And that'll be a combination of specialists, but also nursing staff, but also administrative staff. We certainly plan on making much better use of ICT possibilities, e-health possibilities, so there's also room for technical jobs at the hospital. But in regards to providing specialists that we're going to need, I'd like to dovetail into something actually the Minister of Education touched on already earlier this week. The American University of the Caribbean is offering St. Martin Partnership scholarships to St. Martin residents, so people who are from St. Martin, residents of St. Martin who are interested in pursuing a career as a physician. The AUC is making a number of positions available in full scholarship for our people to be trained. And again, this is a great project in terms of the timing. It really does allow people to go into the scholarship program and gear up for the jobs that are going to be available with the completion of the hospital. The individual must be residents of St. Martin. They must be accepted by the university. The academic scholarships cover all tuition costs as long as the recipients maintain a satisfactory grade throughout their enrollment at the AUC. Again, in connection with the concept of bringing our own back home to work in our hospital, I'd like to touch on a conference that's happening on the 24th of November called the CARE Caribbean. This is being organized by We Connect and also Asociación Médico de Antillas. So this is the Association for Healthcare Professionals from the former Antilles and Aruba. So there's a conference. Actually, I was invited to the conference but can't make the trip to Holland too many things here to do, but the Minister of Plenipotentiary has gladly agreed that she will represent the government in that conference. I understand that SMMC will also have representation there. And really, again, the idea is to encourage those of our people who are studying abroad, who have an interest in coming back to work in the medical profession, how we can streamline that process for them to come back home. As you know, the hospital is part of the ministry's national health reform process. In other words, we have a much broader picture than simply the construction of a new hospital, right? We really are looking very intently at how do we reform our healthcare system, which also includes efforts for prevention. So to that end, I'd like to touch on something from the SMMC, one of their efforts to help educate the population. So they have health education lectures, and this is set for Saturday, November 24th in the patio between 10 a.m. and 4 p.m. And the idea is to support the education of the population in general to make sure that they have the information in order to be more proactive about their health. And there's a number of topics there. So for example, from the ENT doctor, too much noise, from the psychiatrist, family matters, from an anesthesiologist, painless labor, from the gynecologist, why do I not get pregnant, from the pediatrician, asthma, myths and facts, and from the dermatologist, a topic on eczema. So the idea is that the specialists from the SMMC are using their time to help to educate the population, so again, they can be more knowledgeable and more proactive about their health. And I guess somewhat related to that as well as efforts by Safe Haven. There's an event that's happening tomorrow. They've brought in a keynote speaker, a Mr. Walcott, who's the co-executive director from Connect, and with the keynote topic about addressing toxic masculinity and violence against women. So, and especially in our community, I certainly see the pressures on the community, and sometimes as individuals have problems coping with stress and with their difficult situation, sometimes that translates into more prone to violence, to domestic violence. And so I think this is a great time for the topic, addressing how do we try and address that violence in our community. Mr. Walcott is an anti-violence community activist, educator, and facilitator. Over the past 20 years, Mr. Walcott's work has focused primarily on engaging men and boys as allies and activists in the movement to prevent and end gender-based violence. What is particularly noteworthy is his experience with multicultural communities, especially Caribbean communities in Brooklyn. So this is tomorrow night at the Phillipsburg Cultural and Community Center from 6:30 to 10 p.m. He will present a keynote address, and this will be followed by a question and answer session. Again, a great initiative, and certainly plan on supporting that event. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Minister Lee, for your opening remarks. At this time, I invite the Minister of Public Housing, Spatial Planning, Environment, and Infrastructure, the Honorable Miklos Hitterson, to address you. Minister Hitterson.
Thank you, Ms. Roach. Good morning, Prime Minister, fellow ministers, press, and audience members viewing and listening. The Inspection Department has several notices that it would like the business community and residents alike to take note of. The department would like to remind businesses that are reopening after rebuilding, such as rebuilding after the hurricanes, that they are expected to have renewed electrical inspections done by the Inspection Department. This is done to prevent short-circuit fires. Some of the recent supermarket fires, for example, have resulted from short circuits. So I urge businesses and homeowners to please make the necessary arrangements to have these electrical inspections done after reconstruction. The department would also like to remind the public that regular pumping of septic tanks remains essential to prevent wastewater leakages onto public roads or neighboring premises. This often results in being a nuisance, potential health hazards, and unsightly. This also damages the roads that we have been continually repaving and patching over the years. As I am on the topic of septic water, strict actions will be heavily enforced against businesses and building owners caught illegally pumping or releasing septic water into the Simpson Bay Lagoon or Great Salt Pond. These actions negatively affect the environment. It is wrong, it is shameful, and it is plain nasty. There is no excuse to intentionally continue to pollute our natural resources, such as the ponds or the Simpson Bay Lagoon. Also, garages and shipyards and their related repair activities will have the close attention of the inspection department in the coming weeks and months. Those operating without the relevant hindrance permit will be shut down. The department will be visiting these businesses to check their permits, so they are requested to have their building or hindrance permit on location as required by law, or come into the VROMI department to have them regulated. We will soon start contacting the owners of all dilapidated buildings that have not been repaired since the hurricanes last year, so that the owners could inform the department of their plans of approach concerning rebuilding or demolishing. There are about 50 to 60 structures minimally that need to be torn down throughout the island. The dilapidated structures are both safety and public health hazards. We encourage building owners to promptly report to the inspection department or risk having their buildings torn down at their expense. Finally, the department is making use of services offered from VNG International. One environmental technical expert will be assisting the department for a total of 7 weeks to finalize the complaints backlog of 2017 and 2018. She has been here for 2 weeks already and have another 5 weeks to go. Before the end of the year, the department will also welcome an experienced building inspector as part of the technical assistance from the Netherlands. Any questions about any of the above notices can be directed to the inspection department at phone number 542-0349 or email info.vromi@stmartingov.org. As a reminder to the public for the time being, the VROMI Permits Department is open Monday to Wednesdays from 8:30 a.m. to 11:45 a.m. Appointments can also be scheduled via vromi-permits@stmartingov.org. That's the email address. That is vromi-permits@stmartingov.org. The department is striving to open more days per week, as the ministry is currently in the process of hiring 2 dedicated front office workers. Additionally, the department will be closed to the public on December 27th and 28th to solely focus on permit requests. Due to a continued heavy backlog, the Department of Domain Affairs will remain closed to the public for walk-ins until further notice. The public can request appointments via email, which is domainaffairs@stmartingov.org, or contact them on telephone by telephone number 542-0349, extension 2391. This concludes my press briefing for today. Thank you.
Thank you, Minister Heatherson, for your opening remarks. At this time, I invite the Minister of Tourism, Economic Affairs, Transport, and Telecommunication, the Honorable Stuart Johnson, to address you. Minister Johnson.
colleagues in the Council of Ministers, members of the media, people of St. Martin, good morning. In the last 20 years, there have been projects that have positively reshaped our island forever. And while many have suggestions of various names that they should have, this has not officially been done. St. Martin has experienced tremendous hardship in the past 14 months, and there is little time to celebrate as we continue to rebuild. But perhaps there can be some solace in knowing that these three projects, the boardwalk, the Simpson Bay Fish Market, and the causeway, have significantly impacted and in some cases even protected and served us during these difficult times. The causeway significantly improved our livelihood through the alleviation of traffic congestion and offering an alternative route. The Simpson Bay Fish Market provides a stable source of fresh fish and produce and is a central location for government services, alleviating the need to drive over the hill to Phillipsburg. Most of you would agree that if it was not for the revetment done at the Great Bay Beach where the boardwalk was constructed, many homes would have been washed away. Today, the boardwalk continues to be the envy of many Caribbean islands. These three projects have in common some of our island's most outstanding leaders and innovative thinkers who saw each project from start to finish. Thinking into the future, Commissioner Theodore Heiliger built the boardwalk, which during Hurricane Irma safeguarded hundreds of residential homes and businesses along the Great Bay Beach from erosion. The Honorable Sarah Westcott Williams, now Chair Lady of Parliament, commissioned the construction of the Simpson Bay Fish Market to be a service center for the people of Simpson Bay and the surrounding areas when she was leader of government in the Island Council. She transformed the simple fish stall into a commercial center for the people to access many government services without driving to Phillipsburg. And today, the fish supply is constant and consistent, and it is combined with some of the best local dishes from our top restaurateurs. And while some people called it the causeway, the bridge to nowhere, today it takes everyone almost anywhere in a short time, and an alternative to the traffic congestion coming from the airport. The causeway provides an alternative and some stability in times of chaotic traffic. In this regard, it would be reminiscent of the stalwart Joe Richardson, whose unwavering commitment to the service for country above self and whose vast wealth of knowledge helped to quietly give stability and mentorship to our country, and some of the most outstanding leaders today, such as the current Member of Parliament, Franklin Frankie Myers, who has fittingly recommended that the causeway be named after his mentor. Thus, I will be proposing to have the Causeway Bridge named the Joseph E. Richardson Causeway Bridge, the Sarah Westcott Williams Fish Market, and the Theodore E. Heiliger Promenade, currently referred to as the Boardwalk. As we approach the busy tourist season, my ministry will be organizing a town hall meeting with Phillipsburg vendors to ascertain their grievances and further engage in discussions with them on what they wish to see coming from government to make life simple for them as they navigate through the season. We are also working on plans to improve the image at the lookout flagposts and will be engaging in discussions with the family members that own the property to see how we as government can improve what was created there. We believe that though it may have been ill-timed when it was launched, the initiative has the potential of being one of the most memorable landmarks for visitors if done so correctly. We are considering the addition of 37 steps symbolizing 37 square miles of our island, and we also want to beautify it with greenery and incorporate some benches along with unique access ramps for the physically challenged. We will also find a permanent solution for the constant destruction of our national flag and create some beautiful nightlights so that the area can be something we all can truly be proud of. On Friday, November the 30th, 50 lucky winners will receive a season pass for Carnival 2019 as we recognize 50 years of Carnival. The Golden Box, as it's now popularly known, can be found at the Government Administration Building until then, whereby 50 persons or persons in general will be able to fill out forms and get the opportunity to win those 50 passes. Each candidate is allowed one form and one chance to win. Winners must be present on the draw date to collect their prizes. Persons can take selfies with the Golden Box, as also has been popularly done, and share it on the St. Martin Carnival Development SCDF's Facebook page, as well as the social media pages of the St. Martin Tourist Bureau with the hashtag SXM Carnival 50 for a chance to win additional prizes. On that evening, so November 30th, the entertainers for the lineup of the draw will be King Roma, King Kimbe, King Yobeli, King James, and King Verse. Also headlining the show will be DJ Blaze and DJ Richie D, with hosts Dutty Sham and Sponge. The time for the event will be 4 p.m. until 8 p.m. at the Festival Village. This event is to further support the ongoing initiatives and plans as St. Martin gears up for Carnival 2019 as Carnival 50 being organized. This event is being organized, of course, by the St. Martin Tourist Bureau. The St. Martin Hospitality and Trade Association, SHTA, recently announced the winner of its photo contest for the cover of its hotel in-room magazine, Visit. The winner is Richard Hazel, who sent in a photo of an aircraft approaching the runway at Maho Beach of the Princess Juliana International Airport. The Destination Marketing Committee of SHTA was designated as the body to select the winner. The contest ran from September 13th to the 30th. I would like to take this opportunity to congratulate Richard Hazel, who won the SHTA contest, and also those that contributed in the contest as well, their pictures. SHTA stated that by means of the competition, they wanted to offer a platform for artistic talent among residents and visitors. I would like to commend the SHTA on their new publication, which comes out just in time for the 2018-2019 high tourist season. Hazel's photo of the landmark landing of an aircraft is a major destination attraction, which has been visited by millions of tourists over the years and seen by millions more each time someone uploads this unique landing experience to YouTube or other social media channels. Hazel's picture, according to the SHTA, will be on the cover of 25,000 Visit 2019 edition magazines. The SHTA says that Visit is the largest and most well-read magazine of St. Martin and is the official in-room magazine of SHTA and exclusively distributed to the SHTA Association member hotel rooms. The magazine is also used by the association as a business card when tour operators and travel writers visit. Last, for my updates for this morning, I'm elated to hear that the news that the St. Martin Airport, SXM Airport, and the destination, according to an online website, privatefly.com, ranks number 2 as the most popular private jet destination in the Caribbean. The recognition is out of 10 airports in the region. According to the website, Private Fly is a leading global booking service for private charter flights and part of Directional Aviation's One Sky group of companies. Since we revolutionized private jet charter booking when we launched in 2018, Private Fly has always believed in going above and beyond in everything they do. With over 7,000 aircraft in one global network, a live pricing platform, routes worldwide, airports, and security to negotiate, and safety records to evaluate, we know that speed matters, but we also know performance matters more, the website states. So I take this opportunity to commend the management and staff of the Princess Juliana International Airport, as well as stakeholders who has worked with the jet industry, private jet industry, on this accolade, which is well deserved, especially during these trying times. Even though we are faced with challenges, we shall overcome them. Despite the challenges, we are still doing our best and are still being recognized for this. Once again, congratulations to the St. Martin Airport management and staff as the local private jet market stakeholders on this well-deserved recognition. This is what privatefly.com said about the destination in particular. Princess Juliana International Airport, St. Martin. St. Martin, also known as Saint Martin by the French, is split between the Netherlands and France. Its airport, Princess Juliana International, offers one of the most stunning landings, coming in very low over water. The airport is another important hub in the Caribbean, connecting airline flights and larger private jets with smaller aircraft bound for remote islands. The landing at St. Martin was voted one of the world's top 10 scenic landings in 2018 in our annual poll. You can browse videos of other Caribbean landings on our YouTube channel. So be rest assured that the Council of Ministers are working diligently to get our key port of entry back on track within the shortest possible time. At this time, I look forward to any questions from the media.
Thank you, Minister Johnson, for your opening remarks. At this time, I invite the Prime Minister and Minister of General Affairs, the Honorable Leona Romeo Marlin, to address you. Prime Minister.
Good morning to all my colleagues, members of the press. Good morning, St. Martin. This morning I have a few announcements. The first being that the Minister of Justice is absent today as he's attending a conference in Geneva on torture. Secondly, on behalf of the management of the Public Service Center Department, I would like to make it known that the Civil Registry Department has recorded an alarming trend in the increase of no-shows for appointments. The department takes the opportunity to advise customers to take their appointment dates and times for services seriously. Customers are advised to reschedule or cancel their appointment in a timely fashion by contacting the customer service desk at the Public Service Center at the Phillipsburg and Simpson Bay locations, or email us at onlinebooking@stmartingov.org. That is onlinebooking@stmartingov.org. For ease of cancellation or rescheduling, customers can make use of the rescheduling and cancellation links provided in their appointment confirmation notice, which was sent via email. Failure to appear for an appointment means that the customer runs the risk of having to reschedule at a much later date. As the responsible minister for the cooperation between St. Martin and the World Bank, I would like to update you on the recovery projects that are being financed through the trust fund. As of today, the Netherlands has made $134.4 million available to St. Martin's trust fund. The Parliament of the Netherlands has recently also approved a second tranche of $175.5 million. This tranche will bring the amount of available trust funds to a total of $310 million. In total, the Netherlands has pledged to donate 470 million euros to the trust fund, which is approximately $580 million. This funding will be used in the next 7 years to build St. Martin back more sustainable. With the available funds, 3 large projects are being implemented right now. These are the Emergency Recovery Project 1, the Emergency Income Support and Training Project, and the Hospital Resilience Project. The first project that is being implemented by the government of St. Martin is Emergency Recovery Project 1. This project repairs existing public shelters, support the repairs of severely damaged houses, and strengthens the emergency response capacities of our fire department and other first responders. The project will also support the St. Martin Housing Development Foundation and GEBE and repair a number of critical public buildings, including the police station, the fire station, and a number of damaged public schools. Over the past months, the Interim Recovery Committee, the World Bank, and the involved ministries have been working very hard to prepare the technical documents for the first tenders of this project. To be honest, this has not been a very easy task. And why? Because it is the first time that the government of St. Martin is working with the World Bank, as I have said on numerous occasions. And during last week's press briefing, I already reported the publication of tender for the urgently needed repairs of the police station in Phillipsburg and in Simpson Bay. Today, I'm happy to announce that the Interim Recovery Committee has also published the tender for the first phase of the roof repair program that will be financed by the trust fund. This program will support the repairs of severely damaged houses of low-income families and supplement the existing roof repair programs of the St. Martin Development Foundation, VROMI, and UNDP. On the reconstruction of the airport, there has been a lot of rumors in the past week because of unsubstantiated reports by some media outlets. As Prime Minister, I cannot respond to fake news and false accusations. What I would like to stress is that this government treats the reconstruction of the airport as a matter of high importance for the country and the region. During last meeting of the steering committee 2 weeks ago, the Netherlands, St. Martin, and the World Bank agreed to move forward on the preparations of the airport reconstruction project for an amount of $50 million. Co-financing for another $50 million is expected to come from the European Investment Bank. The steering committee also endorsed an assessment by the World Bank of the airport's corporate governance, which is expected to generate recommendations on the strengthening of the governance of the airport. Our goal has and will continue to be that the airport is fully up and running as soon as possible. This government remains focused and determined to work with the World Bank in searching ways to speed up the projects that are financed by the trust fund, as the trust fund is and will continue to be our main source of funding for the recovery process. On November 26, I will be in Washington, D.C. to participate in the joint IMF World Bank IDB high-level conference on building resilience to disasters and climate change in the Caribbean at the IMF headquarters. During the conference, I will be presenting on the topic of furthering existing and developing new instruments to transfer risk in the context of financial solutions for disaster risk management. The Managing Director of the IMF, Christine Lagarde, the CEO of the World Bank, Kristalina Georgieva, and many heads of government throughout the Caribbean, including Prime Ministers of Grenada, Barbados, Jamaica, Dominica, St. Lucia, will also be giving presentations at the high-level conference. These were my announcements for today. I thank you, and I await your questions from the media. Thank you.
Thank you, Prime Minister, for your opening remarks. If you've just joined us, you are watching the live Council of Ministers press briefing. We now move on to the question and answer session. Seeing that we are pressed for time, I will only allow one round of questions. Any other questions may be directed to the Minister's cabinets directly. Lyndon Brown of BCN TV, you have the floor.
Good morning to the people of St. Martin and to all the ministers that are present here today. To Minister Lee, there have been conversation about the pension age going to 65 years. The elderly are thinking about why not the pension fee goes up. Can you explain to the people what are the criteria for higher pensions? For instance, according to how much you pay into the system, you can get back. So make that plain for us, please.
Thanks. The way our current pension system works is it's based on the amount of years, and PM, you can help me, the amount of years that you're registered at the census office. And if you have the full amount of years registered at the census office, then you'll collect your full pension. There's a number of proposals for pension reform in terms of, is the pension amount going to be based on your last salary or an averaged salary, and there's a number of things that the government is looking at in terms of how we can improve the pension payouts, as well as encouraging private sector to have a secondary pension for people as well. But the way our current pension system works, it's based on the number of years that you're registered and that you pay into our pension system. And then it's basically proportionate based on if you're not registered for the full amount of time, it's proportional.
Thank you, Minister Lee. Stephen Cerulean of PJ82 Radio, you have the floor.
Thank you, Ministers, Prime Minister. Good morning. My question is for the Minister of VSA. The announcement of the reopening of Carrefour recently. Seemingly, there has been widespread speculation as to the goods that they're selling. In fact, my newsroom has received several calls basically saying that they are involved in selling expired goods, spoiled salads, and canned food. First of all, what sort of inspection was done at Carrefour prior to opening? One. Following,
Mr. Cerulean, I can only
they are
allow
all
one.
in
I can
their-
only allow one question as we are pressed for time. I'm sorry about that. I'm sorry, we're not allowed to transfer questions either.
Thank you, Stephen. I did notice on Facebook that there was a post about some chocolate, I think it was, that was had an expired date and I think was spoiled. I actually did contact Carrefour myself, and they said, look, they did have one box of goods that was sent by the company that had an expiration date that was overdue. They had missed it, and they've adjusted that. In terms of inspections, the inspection department's been working closely with Carrefour from the time of the fire, because actually, as Carrefour had explained to me, actually, a fire is much more complicated in a sense than the hurricane damage, because from the fire you have smoke which penetrates into all types of crevices in the facility. So from the very beginning, there's been a very keen attention paid to how the rebuilding process has gone. I think regarding the salads, as a matter of fact, one of the cabinet members reminded me, and I should have mentioned that I did see that there's in general in the U.S. a total recall for romaine lettuce. So in other words, they're saying any romaine lettuce, discard it. So whether it's old, if it's old, even wash the cabinet. They've had issues, I guess, with E. coli. So I don't know if that's related to the salad issue you're talking about. I suspect that that's related to that topic.
And just to add on, in regards to the Ministry of TIAT and our controls by the Control and Inspection Department, in particular with Carrefour as well as other supermarkets and restaurants, all of those areas have been controlled by our Collaboration Department in reference to the controls being taken place in regards of scales and weights. So we have been actively involved in ensuring that that has been done, and in particular, inspections were done in that regard at Carrefour before it opened recently.
Thank you, Minister Lee and Minister Johnson. Andrew Dick of the Daily Herald, you have the floor.
Yes, good morning to the ministers. Minister Johnson, concerning the naming of the landmarks, now some would say that they might have some other persons also deserving of being named after a landmark. So based on what exactly did you pick these three persons for these landmarks?
Thank you, Mr. Dick, for your question. And of course, I'm sure you quite heard my elucidation on why those persons were nominated by my person in the ministry in particular to receive that type of recognition. And I think that elucidation was quite lengthy in my opening remarks. So you can always play back the tape if you missed it. But in a nutshell, their recognition and their vision in regards to the overall contributions to the country, so the causeway, and what a positive impact that had to our economy and overall traffic alleviation in regards to the fish market, in regards to the entrepreneurship that was possible there, and then of course in reference to the naming of those three, it was very fitting to see that it be done so in regards to the boardwalk as well, that safeguards the properties along the boardwalk in the Great Bay Area, so that businesses and residents alike could be safe, not only in good times, but in times that our island faces those devastations. So I'm quite sure you'll play back the tape and watch it again, and I'm so glad to see you in here this morning.
Thank you, Minister Johnson. Honorable Ministers of the Council, members of the media, radio listeners, and online viewers, this brings us to the end of the Live Council of Ministers press briefing for today, Wednesday, November 21st, 2018.